At the moment of death, I saw the whole truth of my life laid bare. I gave my youth to a man who never loved me, raised a son who despised me, and in the end, I died alone in an empty room, my heart shattered by those I had cherished most. But the heavens granted me a second chance. When I opened my eyes again, I was young, and I still had the power to choose differently. In my previous life, I had lived for everyone but myself. Now, I would live only for my own future. The instructor looked at me with surprise when I handed in my application. Su Qian, think this through carefully. The great northern wilderness is so far away. Once you go, you won't be able to come back for at least 3 to 5 years. Will your family agree to this? I said calmly, my parents died early, and my only grandmother passed away not long ago. Now I have no family left. I can decide on my own about going to the great northern wilderness. In truth, I still had a fiancé. He was the regiment commander of our unit, Lu Chang'an. But I knew that soon, he wouldn't be. Seeing how resolute I was, the instructor signed and wrote, "Approved," on my application form. All right, I'll submit the application for you. But your batch is leaving in a hurry, you'll depart in a week. Go home and pack up as soon as you can. I thanked the instructor and headed home. 1 week to say goodbye to everything here, that was more than enough. When I got home, I didn't expect anyone to be inside. Through the dim light in the living room, I saw Lu Chang'an sitting on the sofa, 30 years younger, just as I remembered. The young Lu Chang'an had sharp brows and bright eyes, exuding an imposing aura. He had the kind of looks that could make anyone's heart race at first sight. But someone like him didn't belong to me. At a young age, he was already the youngest regiment commander in our southwest military region. I was just an ordinary rural girl. If it weren't for the childhood engagement arranged by my grandfather and his grandmother, I wouldn't even have the right to stand by his side. Seeing me, Lu Chang'an furrowed his handsome brows, picked up something in his hand, and stood up from the sofa. Su Qian, this is the marriage report we submitted last time. I went to the political commissar today and got it back. I think we're still young, no need to rush into marriage. What do you think? This marriage report had been submitted under pressure from Lu Chang'an's grandmother. I didn't expect he'd end up taking it back. That's fine, saves me the trouble of going myself. Seeing that I didn't speak, Lu Chang'an opened his mouth as if to say something else. But then I said, I think you're right. We're still young. No need to rush into marriage. Surprised by my quick agreement, Lu Chang'an stared at me for a moment, then said, right. We're still young. No need to rush. And the military region has been busy lately. Once I have some free time, I'll submit the marriage application again. I gave a faint smile. But there's no again for us. Lu Chang'an, I'm going to develop the great northern wilderness. What did you say? He didn't catch it and was about to ask again when the door was suddenly pounded on. It was Lu Chang'an's guard. Regiment Commander Lu, a lady named Lu Wanrong sent an urgent message, saying she has something important to ask for your help. Hearing that name, Lu Chang'an's eyes darkened. He no longer bothered to question me, he only managed to tell me to eat on my own before leaving without looking back. I watched his retreating figure and closed the door tightly. I knew he wouldn't come back tonight. Whenever Lu Wanrong called for him, he would forget about me, forget about our home. And in the endless neglect, day after day, I slowly turned myself into a madwoman. How pathetic. I found the date I was set to leave for the great northern wilderness on the calendar stuck to the door and circled it with a pen. I looked at that date with longing, imagining my future. 7 more days, soon I'd be free. Soon I'd have no ties to anything here. In my previous life, Lu Chang'an kept his promise. Once he finished his military district affairs, he submitted a marriage application and married me. But after years of marriage, he remained cold and distant toward me. Aside from that one accident that gave us a son, he never once entered my room in his entire life. I always thought he was just cold by nature and had a thing about cleanliness, which was why he wouldn't touch me. But it wasn't. When he was dying of illness, I heard him calling out Lu Wanrong's name. That was when I realized there was never any personality issue. It was simply that the person he loved was never me. Only then did I learn that shortly after our marriage, Lu Chang'an had been transferred to the Northwest for work. During that time, we were separated by great distance. I stayed home managing the household, caring for his bedridden mother, and raising our sickly son to health. I was trapped in that four-walled home, gasping for air. Meanwhile, Lu Wanrong, the star performer of the art troupe, followed him closely with her daughter, living a life of glory and admiration out in the world. I was devastated. But the son I nearly gave my life to bring into this world didn't comfort me at all. Instead, he accused me with the same hatred as an enemy. "Mom, if you hadn't kept dragging Dad down, he wouldn't have missed out on all those years with Auntie Wanrong. Just divorce Dad, he's suffered enough in this life. I don't want him buried with you when he dies. In 100 years, I want Dad and Auntie Wanrong buried together." Only then did I realize that Lu Wanrong hadn't just captured my husband's heart, even my own son loved her more as a mother. My heart shattered into pieces, and I gritted my teeth, refusing to divorce. I couldn't understand it. I hadn't done anything wrong. Why was I the one paying the price in the end? But my son, ignoring my cries and grievances, grabbed my hand and pressed my fingerprint on the divorce application. I was so furious my heart ached violently. Yet my son only sneered, "Mom, you can't do anything in this life, but you're a first-rate actress. No wonder Auntie Wanrong says you're scheming." With that, he took the divorce application and left, slamming the door without a trace of mercy. I was left alone, my heart giving out, and I died in that empty house. In my previous life, I wronged no one. I lived up to the title of Lu Chang'an's wife, managing the household for him, letting him strive in the military without any worries behind him. I fulfilled my duty as a daughter-in-law, caring for that difficult, bedridden mother-in-law for a lifetime. And I did my utmost to be a good mother, raising a son who was sickly as a child to health, so much so that even the doctor said he wouldn't be easy to keep alive. But in the end, I was betrayed by everyone. So now that I've been given another chance at life, I want none of them anymore. Waking up in the morning, Lu Chang'an's bed in his room was still neatly made. He indeed hadn't come back. Calculating the time, it was just when Lu Wanrong, newly widowed, had arrived in the southwest. The reason she urgently called her old flame was to ask him to help her settle in. I have to admit, Lu Chang'an was truly devoted to Lu Wanrong. No matter the matter, big or small, as long as Lu Wanrong asked, he would go all out to help. If I remember correctly, this trip would keep Lu Chang'an away for several days. That's fine, it saves me from having to say goodbye to him face to face. I marked another cross on the calendar, then I started packing up my things. This apartment with one bedroom and a living room belonged to Lu Chang'an. Knowing I worked here, Lu Chang'an's grandmother arranged for us to live together, saying it was to foster feelings. But some feelings can't be fostered. Before marriage, I chased Lu Chang'an for 3 years without moving him. After marriage, I spent 30 years and still couldn't touch him in the slightest. It's okay, in this life, I won't waste my efforts anymore. While packing, I saw the clothes and shoes I had made for Lu Chang'an over the years. These were all hand-stitched by me, thread by thread. Unfortunately, I never had the chance to give them to him. Now there's no need. I gathered them all up and took them to the black market, exchanging them for 28 yuan. It wasn't much, but enough to cover my expenses on the way to the Great Northern Wilderness. When I got home, I didn't expect Lu Chang'an to be there. He was in the bedroom, searching for something. Seeing me, he said awkwardly, "Su Qian, do you have an extra set of bedding in your room? My high school classmate had some trouble at home and just moved here recently, she doesn't have anything complete. Could you lend her your extra set?" Hearing Lu Chang'an's words, I couldn't help but feel a pang in my heart. I did have an extra set of bedding in my room, the cover on it I had spent many nights secretly sewing by lamplight, stitch by stitch, preparing it for the day Lu Chang'an and I got married. That set of bedding held all my hopes for a beautiful future. But now those hopes are gone, there won't be a wedding anymore. I had planned to take it to the pawn shop tomorrow. Since he's asking for it for Lu Wanrong, I'll give it to him, consider it thanks for his care over the years. I took the bedding from the top shelf of the cabinet. Seeing the embroidered mandarin ducks playing in the water, Lu Chang'an's hand, as he took the bedding, seemed to flinch. "This, did you make it yourself?" I said calmly, "Yeah. Just made it for fun." Lu Chang'an stared at me for a moment. "The department store has been out of stock these days. I'll take this bedding to her for now. Next week, when the department store gets new stock, I'll take you to buy a new one, you can have as many sets as you want." I looked at the countdown on the calendar and smiled lightly. "Okay, agreed." But unfortunately, Lu Chang'an wouldn't make it to next week. That evening, Lu Chang'an actually came home quite early. He even brought back sweet and sour fish, my favorite dish, packed for me. "Su Qian, I especially got this packed for you from the state-run restaurant. They have a new chef there, and this dish is really well made, come try it." This was something Lu Chang'an rarely did during the 3 years I'd lived here. If he had done this before, I would have been overjoyed and couldn't help but let my mind wander. But now, I knew he was only doing this to thank me for helping Lu Wanrong. I sat down and ate the sweet and sour fish. The room was silent. Lu Chang'an sat beside me, quiet for a long time, then he said, "Su Qian, there's something I need to tell you. That high school classmate of mine whose family had trouble recently moved here, she lost her husband, and she has a child with her. The place she rented is leaking. Now they have nowhere to stay. So I want to let them stay here temporarily for a few days, until their place is fixed up. How about that?" The sweet and sour fish in my mouth suddenly tasted like wax. Everything he did was indeed for Lu Wanrong. I swallowed the last bit of bitterness in my heart and said flatly, "Fine, I have no objections. Anyway, I'd be leaving in a few days. This home could be given to anyone he wanted." Lu Chang'an went to pick up Lu Wanrong and her daughter early the next morning. I didn't want to see them, I told Lu Chang'an I was heading to the countryside. That was our hometown, mine and Lu Chang'an's. My parents' and my grandfather's graves were all there. Once I left this time, I didn't know when I'd come back. I had to go and tell them. I picked wildflowers by the roadside, my mother's favorite, and bought my father his favorite liquor. I also bought my grandfather his favorite braised pork head. Mom, Dad, Grandpa, I'm going to the Northeast to join the national effort to develop the Great Northern Wilderness. I'm sorry I can't honor the engagement and marry Lu Chang'an anymore. He loves someone else. But don't worry, even without Lu Chang'an, I'll still be happy. I swept their graves and talked with them for a long time. It wasn't until dark that I reluctantly left. Leaving the cemetery, I went to Grandma Lu's house again. I visited Lu Chang'an's grandmother. In my past life, Lu Chang'an's parents thought I wasn't good enough for their son. They gave me no end of trouble. But his grandmother was truly kind to me. Since I was leaving, I at least wanted to say goodbye to her. Grandma Lu didn't get along with Lu Chang'an's mother, so they didn't live together. I avoided Lu Chang'an's parents' house and went straight to Grandma Lu's courtyard. Pushing open the door, I saw her white-haired figure picking vegetables in the yard. Autumn spinach is the best. Grandma Lu made me spinach meatball soup and stir-fried potatoes with cured pork. Cornbread with cured pork and spinach meatball soup, it tasted like home from my childhood. That night, I lay beside Grandma Lu. She was on the other side, using a palm leaf fan to shoo away mosquitoes for me. Su Qian, why did you come back alone? Did that brat Chang'an bully you? The concern of an elder is the most tear-jerking. I held back the sting in my eyes and smiled. He didn't bully me, Chang'an treats me well. It's just that feelings can't be forced. His heart belongs to someone else. Grandma, we won't be together anymore. Someone else. Grandma Lu gasped. That brat dares to cheat. I'll beat him to death. Qian, don't be upset, I'll make this right for you. I'll make sure he marries you. I grabbed her hand and soothed her. Grandma, his heart isn't with me. Even if we were forced to marry, that wouldn't change. He didn't cheat either, we're both unmarried, so it's all normal. Grandma, don't blame Brother Lu. We just weren't meant to be. Grandma Lu said excitedly, how could you not be meant to be? He wouldn't dare disobey my orders. Qian, don't worry, I'll make sure he marries you. I won't let him bully you. I shook my head. Grandma, no need. I don't want someone whose heart isn't with me. Grandma Lu held my hand all night in the darkness. I knew she truly cared about me. She couldn't understand how I could bear to let go of Lu Chang'an. He was a regiment commander at such a young age, with a boundless future ahead. For an orphan like me, he was the best match. But I couldn't tell her that Lu Chang'an wasn't a good match at all. In my past life, I married him and suffered so much. Even my son preferred Lu Wanrong as his mother, they were the real family, and I lived a miserable life. After a night passed, Grandma Lu knew my mind was made up. The matter between Lu Chang'an and me was over. When Lu Chang'an's parents found out, they were overjoyed for a long time, even their faces toward me weren't as harsh. Grandma Lu watched Lu Chang'an's mother celebrating and shook her head. She's foolish too, thinking it's good that you're not marrying Chang'an. She's a cripple, without a kind-hearted child like you as her daughter-in-law, who will ever take her seriously. I thought of Lu Wanrong's delicate face and fair hands and shook my head. That was their business, none of mine. I stayed with Grandma Lu for 3 days. When I left, she saw me off at the village entrance. She told me I would always be her granddaughter and insisted I come back to visit her often. As I got into the car, I felt 2 still warm eggs in my bundle. I couldn't help but cry. Grandma, I'm going to the Great Northern Wilderness. I'll write to you. After returning home, I immediately marked 3 big X's on the calendar. 2 more days, I would be leaving for good. I carried my luggage and opened the door. I saw that my room, which belonged to me, was filled with the belongings of a strange woman. And my things had been packed up and thrown into the corner like garbage. On the bed, my original floral bedsheet and quilt cover had been replaced with my embroidered mandarin duck set. And the pair of mandarin ducks that I had spent half a month embroidering were stained with blue-black ink. The eye areas had been cut to shreds with scissors. I stood dazed, picking up the dirty, ruined mandarin ducks. I felt something inside me had completely died. The door was opened from outside. Lu Chang'an walked in with Lu Wanrong, dressed in a white gown, and her daughter. Seeing me holding the quilt cover, Lu Wanrong's daughter rushed out from behind them like a little cannonball. She slammed into my waist, catching me off guard. I fell to the ground, my stomach aching sharply. But her hands kept hitting my face and body relentlessly. My eye was scratched by her hand, my head throbbed with a buzzing pain. I couldn't take it anymore and pushed her, just a gentle push. But she plopped down on the ground and burst into heart-wrenching sobs. Ah! The bad auntie hit me. Help! Daddy Lu, help! Mommy, help! I stared blankly at my own hands. I clearly hadn't used much force just now. How could she cry like that? Lu Wanrong hugged her daughter, tears streaming down like tap water. Sister Su Qian, I know you're upset that we've taken over your room. But if you're unwilling, just say so. I'll leave right now. There's no need to take your anger out on our CC. Mommy, CC hurts. Lu Wanrong cried even harder. CC, Mommy is useless, I can't even protect you. Sister Su Qian, I'm sorry, we're leaving now. Lu Chang'an grabbed Lu Wanrong's hand as she tried to leave. He glared at me angrily. Su Qian, apologize. I wiped the wound at the corner of my eye and looked at Lu Chang'an in confusion. I saw him staring at me fiercely. Apologize to CC and Wanrong. What's the meaning of hitting a child the moment you come back? It was my idea to give your room to Wanrong and CC. My room is too small, it's inconvenient for Wanrong to stay with the child. Since you weren't here anyway, I let them stay first. If you have any complaints, tell me, what's with taking it out on a child? Lu Wanrong sneered at me from behind Lu Chang'an. My heart turned ice cold. I didn't do it. But Lu Chang'an's voice grew colder. What do you mean you didn't? I clearly saw you push CC. Su Qian, you're an adult, when you do something wrong, you admit it. Apologize to CC and Wanrong. At that moment, I felt utterly powerless. But I didn't use any force at all, I don't know how she fell. And she hit me first. Lu Chang'an's brows furrowed even deeper. Stubborn and unreasonable. She's just a child, so what if she hit you a couple of times? Could it hurt you? If you didn't use force, then why is CC crying so miserably? Are you saying a child can act? My heart ached beyond words. What was I still hoping for? I looked into Lu Chang'an's eyes and smiled bitterly. So you don't believe me? Lu Chang'an's expression grew colder. How can you expect me to believe you? Right, how could he ever believe me? Whether in my past life or this one, I was never someone he would unconditionally favor and trust. I no longer had the strength to defend myself. Then just think of it as intentional. But I won't apologize to her. Lu Wanrong's daughter cried louder. Bad woman. You're evil. You hit CC and won't even apologize. Daddy Lu, hit her. Get revenge for me. Lu Chang'an's face darkened even more, pointing at me. Fine, fine. Su Qian, you really are stubborn and unyielding. Since you won't apologize, get out of here. My home doesn't welcome someone like you. Su Qian, remember, the marriage application hasn't been submitted yet. You're not the mistress of this house. As she finished speaking, Lu Wanrong's daughter stopped crying. She stuck out her tongue, made faces, and looked at me smugly, repeating the words telling me to get out. Lu Wanrong held her, sneering at me with contempt. I looked at the ruined, soiled mandarin duck quilt cover and nodded. Fine, I'll leave. After all, there were only 2 days left, leaving early or late was the same. But it seemed we couldn't part on good terms. I took down the quilt cover and bed sheets I had embroidered myself and cut them into shreds. Lu Wanrong and her daughter didn't deserve to use them. Then, carrying my luggage, I left without looking back. I found a guest house near the train station and checked in. That night, lying on the guest house bed, I thought I wouldn't sleep well. Unexpectedly, I slept soundly and didn't wake until the sun was high in the sky. After getting up, I went downstairs for breakfast, then slowly made my way back to the military unit to find the instructor and get my train ticket to the Great Northern Wilderness. Carefully tucking the ticket into the inner layer of my clothes, I saw Lu Chang'an approaching with Lu Wanrong and her daughter. Seeing me, Lu Chang'an was startled, then with a cold face he said, "What are you doing here?" When I didn't respond, he added, "If you know you're wrong, quickly apologize to Wanrong and CC, then go home and cook them a good meal, and this matter will be over. Otherwise, I won't allow you to come home." CC made a face at me. "Stinky auntie, I want you to kneel on the ground and bark like a dog for me, then I'll forgive you." I looked her in the eyes and said slowly, "I don't need your forgiveness. And I didn't do anything wrong. Little girl, liars will have their tongues cut off and be struck by lightning." CC screamed in fright. Lu Wanrong's face darkened as she looked at me. "Comrade Su Qian, what are you doing?" I smiled at her cheerfully. "Comrade Lu Wanrong, you know what I mean, liars deserve to be struck by lightning." Enough. Lu Chang'an looked at me with an unreadable expression. CC is just a child. I pointed to the bruise at the corner of my eye. Lu Chang'an, someone was hurt yesterday, and that someone was me. You can favor her daughter and you're good, but you shouldn't slander me. Lu Chang'an was taken aback. Su Qian, I didn't. It doesn't matter anymore. I gave Lu Chang'an a sarcastic smile. From now on, whatever happens between you all has nothing to do with me. I turned to leave, but Lu Chang'an grabbed my hand tightly and wouldn't let go. "Wait, Su Qian, there's a misunderstanding. Let's go home and talk, okay?" I shook off his hand. "No. Su Qian. Brother Chang, CC's asthma is acting up." Lu Wanrong fell to the ground as if unconscious. Lu Chang'an hurriedly picked her up. He said to me, "Su Qian, wait for me. I'll come back later to explain everything to you in person. Let's go home." "I'm leaving soon, and I won't be coming back," my reply drifted away in the wind. Lu Chang'an still didn't hear it as he ran toward the hospital with Lu Wanrong in his arms. Lu Wanrong shot me a hateful glare. This time, it was my turn to sneer at her. That man was hers now, and I was heading to the Great Northern Wilderness to experience a broader life. I spent my last night here at the guest house. I knew Lu Chang'an wouldn't come, Lu Wanrong wouldn't let him. I left him a letter telling him that our engagement was off and also telling him about my plan to go to the Great Northern Wilderness. Early the next morning, I left the letter at the guest house front desk, then I boarded the train to the Great Northern Wilderness. I could have written complaint letters to the work units of Lu Wanrong and Lu Chang'an, but I did nothing. I thought of Grandma Lu's kindness and didn't want to ruin Lu Chang'an. If you fear the rat, you can't smash the vase, so I couldn't destroy Lu Wanrong either. Let it be, for the rest of my life, my path and Lu Chang'an's would never cross again. In life or death, we would never meet again. Lu Chang'an didn't come home until the third day. During those 3 days, the doctor said Lu Wanrong had no serious illness, but the child kept complaining of stomach pain, so they kept her in the hospital for a few more days of observation. When he pushed open the door, the house was cold and empty. Su Qian still hadn't returned. Lu Wanrong covered her mouth and said, "Oh dear, Sister Su hasn't come back at all. She must still be angry with me and CC. Maybe we should move out and you go find her, a woman staying out there alone, how unsafe is that?" Lu Chang'an shook his head. "No need. You two stay here, your house hasn't been repaired yet. How could you two move back there?" Lu Wanrong was still full of guilt. "How can we not? It's all my fault, we shouldn't have taken over Sister Su's room. Why don't we go find her and apologize? We still need to win her back and apologize." His words that day had been so harsh, maybe he should apologize. Lu Chang'an was in a tangle, but when he saw CC's pitiful little face, he felt that wouldn't be right. He said firmly, "No need. She's the one who did wrong, and she hasn't apologized, why should you apologize?" Lu Wanrong probed, "Then what if Sister Su never comes back?" Lu Chang'an snorted coldly. "How could that be? She'll be back within 3 days. She's an orphan with no relatives here, I'm her only family. Where else could she go but here? You two just settle in, she'll be the first to cave and come back to apologize on her own." Daddy Lu is awesome. I want that auntie to bark like a dog for me. All right, Daddy Lu will make that happen. He really didn't know why she had such a temper. If she loved being angry so much, then let her stew. He was a regiment commander, as his family, she should have been magnanimous. Lu Wanrong was his high school classmate, now widowed with a child, in urgent need of help, yet she was so petty, making things hard for a child. He wouldn't go coax her, let her realize her own mistake. Otherwise, she'd keep making scenes like this in the future. He'd just wait for her to suffer out there, unable to take it anymore, and come back to apologize to him on her own. This time, he was determined to teach her a lesson. The train rattled along for 3 days before I finally arrived at the Great Northern Wilderness. The moment I stepped off the train, I was stunned by the scenery before me. The Great Northern Wilderness in autumn was like a massive oil painting. Gold, fiery red, russet brown, and turquoise formed a picture of bountiful harvest. It was breathtakingly beautiful. I fell in love with this place almost at first sight. In my previous life, I had been trapped in that cramped 2-bedroom apartment of less than 70 square meters, toiling away for Lu Chang'an's family my entire life. This was the first time I had ever seen such vast open land. I cherished this opportunity immensely. Farming was hard work, but I was a country girl at heart, and I wasn't afraid of hardship. I worked alongside everyone else, reclaiming the land with my own hands. On this soil, I planted seeds of hope, the sweat I shed tasted sweet. It was 2 months later that I received my first letter from Lu Chang'an. He told me he was waiting for me to come home. Little did he know, it was only after waiting a long time that he learned I had left and that I had come to the great northern wilderness. He didn't know how much Lu Wanrong and her daughter had bothered me. He apologized to me. He said he had already sent Lu Wanrong and her daughter away. He said he wouldn't agree to breaking off our engagement. He said he would wait for me to return. Along with the letter came 120 yuan, exactly half of Lu Chang'an's monthly salary. I carefully saved the money. I didn't write back after that. A letter came once a month. They were all about small things happening around Lu Chang'an. All those words combined were more than he had ever spoken to me in a month before. Along with each letter came the 120 yuan. I didn't spend a single cent, saving it all. But I never wrote back either. Life in the great northern wilderness was hard, but every day was fulfilling. Under the guidance of our technician, Li Shan, we grew wheat, soybeans, corn, and sorghum. Through harvest after harvest, I noticed that rice was conspicuously absent here. But I remembered that in my previous life, my favorite crop was northeast rice. I shared my idea with Li Shan. He gave me a thumbs up. Your idea is excellent. They say rice can only be grown in the south, but I believe we can grow it here in the great northern wilderness too. Li Shan found a large plot of land and started a rice experimental field. That day, he requested me to join him. He brought me into the experimental project, and that very day completely changed my life. Through continuous learning and hard work, I became a researcher myself. I joined Li Shan's team, contributing to the modernization of our country's agriculture. We developed rice varieties suited to the northeast climate and promoted modern agricultural equipment throughout the great northern wilderness. In my 5th year at the great northern wilderness, Li Shan and I got married. On the day of my wedding, Lu Chang'an also got married. He had written to me earlier, saying he was going to be transferred to the northeast to find me, but before I could write back to tell him that I had already found a like-minded partner and that he shouldn't bother, he sent a telegram saying he was sorry and that he couldn't come. I was puzzled and asked my former political instructor. He sighed and told me that after I left, he learned that Lu Chang'an and I had been engaged. Lu Chang'an had been waiting for me all those years, and Lu Wanrong had never given up her pestering. When she discovered that Lu Chang'an was planning to transfer to the northeast to find me, she drugged him. The incident caused a huge scandal. Lu Wanrong was fired. Lu Chang'an was demoted. In the end, to save face, he had no choice but to marry Lu Wanrong. Hearing all this, I wasn't surprised. In my previous life, how could Lu Wanrong, who had tormented him his whole life, ever let him go? It was just fortunate that in this life, I wouldn't have any more entanglements with them. Having escaped that quagmire, my future could only get better. The following year, I gave birth to a daughter. On the day of her 4-month celebration, I received another letter from Lu Chang'an. He apologized to me. He said he had a dream in which I married him but he didn't cherish me. He said he regretted it deeply, not understanding how he had been so bewitched back then, going to great lengths to help Lu Wanrong and her mother. Now he realized she wasn't a good person, she used tricks to make him marry her. But once she truly married him, she became a completely different person. She looked down on his family, she refused to care for his bedridden mother and despised his father, who didn't like bathing or washing his feet. The whole family lived together, and every day was filled with endless arguments. Now he finally knew how good I had been. If he had known this would happen, he would never have gotten involved with Lu Wanrong and her mother. If only he had married me. I smiled, looking at my daughter's sleeping face, and burned all the letters in one go. The money Lu Chang'an had sent me over the years, I had long since given it all to Grandma Lu, asking her to pass it along on my behalf. From then on, aside from Grandma Lu, I cut off all contact with the Lu family. Over the next 30 years, we devoted ourselves to the nation's modern agricultural development. Li Shan and I became well-known technical experts, even mentioned in the textbooks of agricultural college students. Later, we went on to teach at universities. During our lecture tours across the country, I thought I caught a glimpse of Lu Chang'an again, but that man was hunched over, looking far older than he had in his previous life. I wanted to get a clearer look, but my husband beside me took my hand. "Dear, smile, the reporters are taking photos." I looked away and quickly forgot about it. Leaning closely against Li Shan, I flashed a big smile at the camera, just like my life, bright and radiant. I never expected that after 30 years apart I would see her again, Su Qian. She looked so young, so different from the aged woman burdened by household chores in my dream. But I was nothing like the man in that dream. I had grown old, I had become an ordinary soldier, not the high-ranking officer I had been in the dream. After marrying Lu Wanrong, my life seemed to hit a nightmare switch. My mother and Lu Wanrong argued endlessly. My mother never received proper care and passed away before turning 60, unlike in the dream where Su Qian cared for her well and she lived to 70. I never had children. Lu Wanrong had long lost the ability to bear them. Because of the misconduct issues with Lu Wanrong, I was demoted. I could never fulfill my ambitions again. And Lu Wanrong was still unsatisfied, cursing me daily for being useless, for not giving her a good life. 20 years into the marriage, she finally found a new lover and remarried, taking her daughter with her. I breathed a sigh of relief. Finally, I could be free of her. But within a year, I heard bad news about her. That new lover was a fraud. After swindling Lu Wanrong out of everything, he beat her to death. Her daughter was sold by that man to an old bachelor in the village. I reported it to the police. The man was sentenced to death, but her daughter went mad. I sent her to a psychiatric hospital. It was the least I could do, considering she had called me Dad for decades. Now I'm old too. I've been discharged from the military. My legs aren't what they used to be. Even if I wanted to find a companion, people would turn me away. I've become truly alone. I suppose this miserable ending is my punishment for being a heartless man. In the dream, or rather in my past life, I really was a terrible person. Unfortunately, I realized it too late. I would never have the chance to stand by her side again. Life has a way of balancing the scales. Every choice carries its own weight. In the end, the path I walked was paved with the consequences of my own blindness. She found freedom, purpose, and love in the vast wilderness, while I remained trapped in the prison of my own making. Perhaps that is the truest form of justice, not revenge, but the quiet unfolding of two lives, one rising and one falling, until the distance between them becomes an unbridgeable chasm. And so, the story ends not with hatred, but with the simple truth that those who cherish nothing lose everything, and those who let go of false hopes find everything they truly need.